Hi everyone, it's Cathy Zielske. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am excited to be part of a blog hop for the new releases for the month of May with Pretty Pink Posh. Today's card is a shaker card, and true story, this is only my second shaker card ever, and the first one I made also featured products by Pretty Pink Posh. I think something about their products just get me in the shaking mindset. Yes, okay. Shall we? Let's begin. So here's a look at the products that I'm using for this card. I'm using the brand new Butterfly Friends, and this has coordinating dies, just a really cute set of butterflies. I'm also using this new Simple Sayings Life set, and I'm sorry people, her handwriting slays. I love it so much. I'm also going to use an older Pretty Pink Posh die from Stitched Notes to cut out a panel for my card. Some brand new sparkling clear gems. That's going to fill my card. And of course a few other things. I'm going to be using some Copic markers. Not a whole bunch, and I'll let you guys know, they're all listed below, but very simple assortment for a simple coloring girl like me. Got my clear sticky ink from Simon and some White Hero Arts powder, because what I'm going to attempt in this video is to use this heat-resistant acetate. I learned about this from Christina Werner, a video she did, and I've been wanting to try it and have success with it, so we're going to see. Some cardstock. I've got some beautiful Neenah Solar White and some gorgeous Gina K Passionate Pink cardstock. This is going to be a very bold, bright card. I am using Gina K's Amalgam ink for my Copic coloring and stamping. This ink is an all-purpose ink, and you can use it for Copics and watercolor. It's pretty cool. Got the Misty tool and, of course, a few other things as we go. So I'm going to start out by stamping my images, and I want to use images from this Butterfly Friends set that I can color. And I'm using the Neenah 110-pound Solar White. I like, if I were to choose one cardstock to stamp and make cards with, I think that would be the one because it's just so sturdy and substantial. And I'm going to get this lined up using my Misty tool, which again, you've got to know about the Misty, but it's the greatest thing ever. It's the greatest thing. It makes stamping possible for me. Now I'm going to use this Gina K Amalgam ink. This is jet black. And going to give it a nice press down here in a second, but I'm just showing you how much ink I do lay down. I get a lot on there and then really press it down. And it's not quite as dark as I wanted it to be, so enter the beauty of the Misty where you can just restamp over it. But this ink is great because it really is an all-purpose ink. You can use it for Copic coloring, like I said, you can use it for watercolor. I like having one ink to go to. It's pretty cool. Now while I'm at it, I'm always going to stamp out a second set of images because I make mistakes when I color, and so if you've got the tools set up, why not go for it? And now I just wanted to bring this in and show you this little container I got this from Amazon to hold this is my Gina K Tidy Towel, but if you have a stamp chamois or any other type of cleaning cloth, what's great about this thing is it's not completely airtight, so it doesn't get smelly, and that's linked below. And now I'm just going to start coloring. And here's the deal with Copics. I keep collecting them. I have a pretty good stash right now, but I don't use them as often as I could. And so I find that even I get a little intimidated by all of the masterful coloring that I see out there. But here's the thing. You don't have to be a master. I am not doing any real blending. I mean, I did a tiny bit of orange blending on that first butterfly, but I decided just to color these in. You know, just make some solid colors. And the thing is, the markers that I chose, the pink matches so well with the pink cardstock. I was really surprised at how well they went together, so I thought, you know what, this is good enough. These images are so sweet that I think just with really bold pops of color, they're going to work just fine. And of course, the pink and orange work great together because they are analogous colors. They sit next to each other on the color wheel, red into orange, and that's how color theory works, people. I love it. Now I'm just going to line these up on the images, my coordinating dies. And I speed this up because it actually takes me a little while. I'm standing directly over my iPhone to make sure that as I'm looking down, it's lined up. And I did a pretty good job. So I'm just going to run these through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 machine. And it turns out that the cuts were perfect. And I love that because there's nothing worse than messing up your cuts. But this time, it's all roses, people, or butterflies. Now I'm going to use this other die from Pretty Pink Posh to cut my panel. This is from an older set, but I use this one a lot. It's a really great set. You can use the outside and the inside because it has stitches on both sides. But I'm just going to use this stitched panel. And then I'm going to take a circle from another set because I needed a stitched circle to create my little shaker window. So this is another die from Lawn Fawn. I'm just going to line that up on the panel and run it through again to create my shaker window. Get that through, and there you go. Pop that out, and that's my panel. Now it's time to use this acetate. Now, I had seen a video, I had seen Christina Werner do this, and I've been wanting to do it ever since. This is probably like a year ago. So I cut my panel down to make sure that it would fit. And in hindsight, what I probably should have done is left that panel over the top before placing it down. But instead, I just put it on some black cardstock because I couldn't see very clearly where the acetate was. I just wanted to make sure it was centered on that piece of acetate. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with the Misty Door. And here is the trick with this acetate. You need to powder and de-static the heck out of it. Now I have a little magic embossing bag and I just went for it. What felt like way too much powder, when you were using this acetate, trust me, it is not, because there's so much static naturally built into acetate. You don't want your powder going anywhere other than where the ink is going. And I'm going to use this clear embossing ink from Simon. It's got a ton of that de-static powder on there, and I gave it a great press down. And my fingers at this point were crossed because I didn't want to double stamp it. I feel like, oh, look at the powder on my hands. That shows you how much powder I put down. But you know what? That was the perfect amount, because look at that. You can actually see how well the stamped impression is there. And now I'm going to pour on my white Hero Arts powder. And then when I tap it, first you get nervous because it's sticking to things and you're like, what? But this turned out perfect. So all that powder, that pre-powder anti-static, it did the trick. I had my heat tool all warmed up, so I only had to hit the acetate very lightly, and it went all melty and shiny, and it looked fantastic. So happy with how that turned out. And now I just took an anti-static cloth, this is like an e-cloth, just to wipe off the powder that was left there from the powder bag. And now I've got a gorgeous clear white sentiment on that acetate. Now I'm just going to use some score tape on the back side of the panel, and I'm going to speed this up because here's the thing, I'm not good with score tape. I love it in theory because it's so sticky, but it takes me forever. I can't tear it. Every time I tear it, I mess it up. So I just speeding this along. I wanted to have a way to adhere that acetate, and there you go. Now it is all ready to go. I cut another panel from the Passionate Pink. That is going to be the back of my shaker. And now it's time to build the shaker. So I'm using the foam tape, the big roll, and I'm just going to measure out roughly what I need. And this is a quick tip that I learned from probably watching another Christina Werner video. But all you need to do is fold your foam tape strip in half, and that's instantly going to give you dimension that you need so that whatever you fill your shaker card with has some clearance to move around. But this is so great because once you peel it off, you've got not only a double thickness foam, but you've got this malleable, easy to place around whatever you are turning into a shaker. So it was really easy just to work this around the circle. It's very sticky, but it works great. And that way you're not cutting lots of pieces. You have one continuous piece of foam. And then you just figure out where to cut, snip it down, and press that in. And I took that extra piece and placed it at the top. And then I did the same for one more piece at the bottom, just so my panel had some uniformity from top to bottom. And I'm going to fill it with these gorgeous sparkling clear gems from Pretty Pink Posh. And this is also a new thing, a new release. And I brought out my other powder tool. I don't I'm not too worried about the gems sticking because they're not like sequins, right? They have much more play, but I did put a little powder around the inside rim of the foam just so that it didn't all stick to the edge. But once this is all filled and ready to go, I place that pink panel on the back, and now when I flip it over, you will see, it's shaker magic. The sun even started to come in on my card. I started to freak out actually because it was going to mess up my white balance, but I digress. And now I'm just going to score my card base here with the Passionate Pink. Top folding, 5.5 by 4.25 is the finished size. And now it's time to add this panel to the card base. Now I started to run, this is my favorite sticky adhesive, and it ran out. So I got another one, which is the same adhesive, basically the same consistency from scrapbook adhesives, but it's this really narrow adhesive, which is totally fine for this because it's super, super sticky. So I just covered the back with plenty of the stick and lined up that panel right on the card base. And that framing margin space, see, it looks like you're looking right through the card. You'd never know that that was built with an extra panel. I added some thin foam squares to the back of my butterflies and just kind of positioned them where I thought they looked good. And I think those look pretty good. And now I'm just going to take off the adhesive and begin placing the butterflies. And I wanted them to extend a little bit off the side, but not, not to go into that margin space, because I love that look of just exploding off the card. And got those placed down. And you know what? This card is coming together, people. I am so happy with how this card turned out. I just am always amazed at anything that has things that move inside of it. Do you know what I'm saying? So that is my finished card project for today, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I would love to have you hit the subscribe button, and I will see you back here again for another card video soon. Thanks so much for watching.